So this is the JBL Partybox Ultimate. Now initially I thought the JBL Partybox 710 was overkill, and I feel the Partybox Ultimate is completely unnecessary for personal use. It's still a lot of dumb fun though. But I do feel that the Partybox Ultimate is our preview of this new generation of Partybox, and there is a lot to like here, but there are some issues here that JBL still just refuses to fix. Nonetheless, let's see what the JBL Partybox Ultimate is all about. Regarding pricing, the JBL Partybox Ultimate retails for $1,700. For context, the JBL Partybox 1000 retails for $1,300. The JBL Partybox 310 retails for $800, and the JBL Partybox 310 retails for $550. Now, we will be comparing the Partybox Ultimate to a few other speakers, so keep an eye out for those versus videos. Nonetheless, if you want to pick this speaker up, it'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up a big head approved hat, link down below. We've got trucker hats and snapbacks. By buying a hat, you help the unbiased and unsponsored videos coming, and it also helps us cover more products and produce more versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's already bought a hat, and look out for more designs coming soon. And also, please remember to hit that like button, and let's get subscribed. Now first, let's talk about the design of the speaker. Now, the Ultimate is big. I thought the Partybox 710 was big, but the Ultimate just dwarfs both the 710 and the 310. The Ultimate has a height of 41 inches and a base of 17 by 17 inches. But more importantly, it weighs in at 87 pounds. So moving the speaker around is a two-person job. The good thing is though, just like with other Partyboxes, the Ultimate has built-in wheels, so you can roll this speaker around, and thankfully, these wheels are chunky. So these wheels are usable while on pavement, and even if there's a little bit of grass. And there's a handle on the top so that you can roll the speaker around, but there's also a hidden handle on the bottom, which is super useful. And I have always hated that the 710 doesn't have a second handle on the bottom. Now, when it comes to materials and durability, the Ultimate has your typical plastic body, which can get scratched very easily, and there's a middle grille on the front, which can get dented easily as well because it is rather thin. But surprisingly, the Ultimate is still rocking an IPX4 rating. So if it gets caught in a slight drizzle, or if a drink gets spilled on it, it should be fine. Just remember to keep the ports panel on the back closed. But what is new on the Ultimate is the extended light feature. Now first off, in order to control the light feature on the Ultimate and adjust its EQ, you now have to use the JBL One app, not the Partybox app. But from here, you can choose from different lighting modes, and you can also customize your light feature. Now JBL's light features on their speakers have always been very impressive, and they have been getting better and better. And the Ultimate has the most extensive light feature that we have seen so far. We have the large combined light ring on the front, but the light rings now have inside and outside borders, which gives you like a 3D effect. The Ultimate also has stars and side light rails like the 710, but the light rails on the Ultimate now wrap around the sides of the speaker. But my favorite part is that the Ultimate now has floor lights, and personally I love floor lights on my speakers because it just gives your speaker a very large presence. Now the light feature on the Partyboxes are usable during the day, but obviously, for the best results, you either want to use them while indoors or at night. Now, usually, this is the part of the video where I would say that if you do decide to use the built-in light feature on your box speaker, then that is going to take an additional toll on your battery life. But the thing is, the Partybox Ultimate does not have a built-in battery. You can only use it while it's plugged in. And just given the sheer size of the speaker, that is understandable, because I do feel that the Partybox Ultimate would easily weigh over 100 pounds if it had a built-in battery. But now let's talk about connectivity. Regarding wireless connectivity, you can connect to the Ultimate with a Bluetooth connection. Now, the Ultimate can be connected to two devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ. Latency is not an issue, so you can use the speaker to watch videos with on your phone. But the Ultimate is still only using SBC. But what is new on the Ultimate is that it has Wi-Fi support. So after you connect the Ultimate up to your Wi-Fi network, you'll be able to stream music to it either through AirPlay 2 or through Chromecast. So whether you're an iPhone user or an Android user, the Ultimate has you covered, and it also has support for Alexa multi-room music. However, the Ultimate cannot be used as a smart speaker, which personally I think is a good thing. But more importantly, if you're streaming music to the speaker over Wi-Fi, and if you're using a supported streaming service, then you're going to have support for Dolby Atmos. However, this is going to be artificial Dolby Atmos because the Ultimate does not have any upward firing speakers. Now, when it comes to the ports on the Ultimate, personally, I am a little disappointed just given the sheer size and price of this speaker. Now, the Ultimate does have a USB-A port, so you can plug in a USB stick and play music off of it, or you can also use it to charge your own devices. But like I've mentioned multiple times already, I do feel that it is time that JBL added a USB-C port to their speakers to charge your own devices, because phones these days now just come included with USB-C to USB-C charging cables, and you should be able to use it as a wired connection, like with the USB-C port found on the JBL Extreme 3. But also, there is a 3.5mm audio jack, so you can use this speaker with a wired connection, but more importantly, there is an audio out jack, so if you have a spare audio cable lying around, you can always daisy chain the speaker up to any other speaker, regardless of size or brand, and you can get them to play in sync. And finally, there are two 1/4-inch inputs, so you can either plug in two microphones for karaoke, or you can also plug in a guitar. And from the control panel up top, you can easily adjust the gain, you can also adjust the bass, you can also adjust the treble, and if you want to, you can also go ahead and add an echo. Now, personally, I never use an echo on my microphones, but it is there if you want it. But also below the control knobs that you can use to adjust the sound of your microphone, there is a touchpad, and this touchpad is preloaded with some sound effects, and you can also customize these sound effects through JBL's app. But overall, this is pretty much a gimmick, and this is something that I don't really use. But my main critique about the ports on the Ultimate is that there are no XLR inputs, so you can't use this speaker with a mixer. And I just feel that a speaker of this sheer size and price should be able to be used with a mixer for someone who likes to DJ. But for now, the Partybox Ultimate is going to be better suited for someone who just wants to karaoke and they want their whole block to hear them. But with all of that out of the way, let's talk about sound. Regarding speaker setups, the Ultimate has dual frontward firing woofers with an exhaust port that shoots out the back. It has dual frontward firing mid-range drivers, a first for Partybox, and it has dual frontward firing tweeters. But now we're going to jump into the sound test. We're going to be using the Ultimate at 75% volume because my neighbors, and we're going to be cycling between bass boost turned off, set to deep, and set to rumble, but the EQ itself is going to be set to stock.
She got a body like a goddess, and she talks so sweet. It's like I can't believe I'm the one that she wanted. And if I'm really being honest, I know I could be everything she needs if she let me get on it. Yeah. So come here, baby, listen close, hold me tight, don't let me go. Girl, you know that I'm on you all my life. So I'ma let you keep me up another time. But please don't stay the night. Don't try to change my mind. Baby, please don't stay the night. I must do what's right. Don't make me ask you twice. Ooh, don't stay the night. Don't try to turn it to a fight. You know I love you by my side. Just don't stay the night. I must do what's right. I'm done being polite.
Now first, I have to point out that the Ultimate has built-in microphones, so it's going to automatically adjust its sound depending on where you place it. But more importantly, the Ultimate has a balanced sound signature to it, but it also has very violent bass. And even though the bass on this speaker is violent, the mids and highs are still very well pronounced thanks to the mid-range drivers and the tweeters. Now obviously, just given the sheer size of the Ultimate, it's going to have a lot of bass. It already has a lot of bass even with the bass boost feature turned off. But if you turn on the bass boost on the speaker, then it's going to become even more prevalent. With deep, it's going to punch harder, and with a rumble, it's going to drone out longer. And since the Ultimate has a rear firing exhaust port, you can always amplify its bass even more by placing it up against a wall. But personally, I always prefer to use my Partybox with the bass boost set to deep. But even with the bass boost turned on, thanks to the mid-range drivers and the tweeters, vocals aren't overpowered by all of the bass. But like I mentioned before the start of the sound test, we were going to cycle between the different bass boost settings, but you can also adjust the EQ on the speaker. So if you want an even warmer sound signature, you can do that, or if you want a brighter sound signature, you can also do that. But personally, I just like to use the Ultimate with its stock EQ and the bass boost set to deep. But then there's max volume performance on the speaker. Now this is a 1100 watt speaker, and honestly anything past 50% volume on the Ultimate is already considered to be loud. At 75% volume, if you're using the speaker while indoors, you're going to need hearing protection, or else you're gonna have a ringing in your ears. Just trust me on that one. And max volume on the Ultimate is going to shake the whole house. The bass is literally going to knock things off the shelf all around the house, and a visit from the cops is guaranteed. Quite honestly, unless you're having an outdoors commercial event, there is no need to get a second Partybox Ultimate. But now let's talk about pairing the speaker up to other speakers, and unfortunately JBL is back up to their shenanigans again. Now first off, the JBL Partybox Ultimate is now using multi-speaker connection, and that's this triangle button up top. And as of right now, you can only pair your JBL Partybox Ultimate to another JBL Partybox Ultimate and get left and right stereo sound going. However, it is not clear whether you can only have a total of 2 Partybox Ultimates paired together, or if you can have more than 2 Partybox Ultimates paired together. But the really annoying thing here is, if you want to have your 2 Ultimates playing together, you have to stream to them over Wi-Fi, because as soon as you press their pairing button, their Bluetooth connection turns off. And I really don't like this, because if you take your 2 Ultimates to an area where there isn't any Wi-Fi, then you're not going to be able to wirelessly connect your 2 speakers together. You're gonna have to daisy chain them to one another using a physical connection. So your music is going to play in sync instead of playing in stereo mode, and your light features aren't going to be in sync either. The only silver lining here is, since the Ultimates do have AirPlay 2 and Chromecast support, you can always pair them up to your other Wi-Fi enabled speakers and get them to play in sync. But more importantly, you cannot wirelessly connect your Partybox Ultimate to your Partybox Encore 110, 310, or 710, and you also cannot connect your Partybox Ultimate to any of JBL's smaller Party Boost speakers, like a JBL Boombox 3, a Boombox 2, an Extreme 3, a Charge 5, a Pulse 5, a Pulse 4, a Flip 5, or a Flip 6, unless you have the Wi-Fi version of the Boombox 3 or the Charge 5. Overall, I am annoyed at JBL's fragmentation here when it comes to pairing their different speakers together, and I don't like the over-reliance of Wi-Fi on the Ultimate. The only good thing here is that the Ultimate still has that audio out jack, so you can always daisy chain it to other speakers. But with all that being said, the JBL Partybox Ultimate is a completely unnecessary speaker that gets extremely loud, and it has very violent bass. But if you are thinking about getting one for your man cave, one Partybox Ultimate is more than enough, and is going to look amazing thanks to its light feature. However, I can't help but feel that the Partybox Ultimate isn't all that ultimate, because it is being held back quite a bit. First off, just given its size and price, I would have liked to have seen some XLR inputs on this speaker so that DJs could use it. I also think that more than 2 1/4-inch inputs would have been nice for people who like to do karaoke. And I also dislike the fragmentation when it comes to pairing the speaker with other speakers, and I also dislike the over-reliance on Wi-Fi when you want to pair multiple Ultimates together. However, I do feel that the Partybox Ultimate is a preview of JBL's new generation of party boxes, and if that's so, I'm really looking forward to the new and improved light features. I also really hope that we're going to see the addition of mid-range drivers on future box speakers from JBL. I just hope that Wi-Fi isn't going to become a requirement if you want to pair multiple party boxes together. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.